What's up, all you Joy-Con drifters? Welcome back to Error Code Blueberry. It's an unassuming Destiny podcast. My name is Chillybin.
Oh, Meckii.
Meckii in it. Shout out to the blue wall behind you.
Shout out to the blue flavor.
Honestly. Yeah, look, we're here to talk about Destiny, not necessarily blue things, but there are blue things in it. Unless you're like us, your power level's high enough that the game stops giving that shit to you. And that's quality of life. I don't know where I'm going. Guardian Games is still here, so I am still drinking big beer. Because I am a winner. As a Titan main, winners of week 1 of Guardian Games. I haven't logged in for week 2. But shout out to Titans everywhere. Here's to you.
The Piss Kings. Titans.
Yeah.
Pissy little babies. Finally doing something.
Pissy big babies. We're beefy boys and we piss strong. What are we doing?
We have a firm stream.
Okay. So let's talk about Guardian Games last week, because when we recorded, it was like, day 2 of the week. I played a bunch more of the various Guardian Games activities. I did dig into Supremacy after we recorded. So hey, shout out to Class Warfare. It was actually kind of really rad when it's like class v class, because it's like I look at the bar at the top of the screen. It's like I see I'm running with 5 other Titans, 3 of them running Thunder Crash, 2 of them are running hammers, and someone else is doing some dumb shit, maybe throwing frisbees. And then on the other side, it's like 4 Well of Radiance Warlocks. I'm like, you guys are idiots. What are you doing? I'm just gonna fucking missile myself in there. But it was actually kind of fun. Like, I think we talked about it a little bit last time, and I kind of compared it to Kill Confirmed from Call of Duty, where you kill a person, drops a dog tag, go pick it up. It is literally that. Yeah. But the score bonuses you get for picking up the tags after you drop someone or you pick up your teammate's tag, they're pretty decent little scores. So like matches go fairly quick, I was finding.
And it feels like oh god, the last game mode for Iron Banner. Rift? No.
Not Rift. Shit.
It's a bit like that.
Zone Control? No.
Whatever it was. It lends to like really close games.
Yeah.
Which is fun.
A lot of mine have been tight, except for a couple, like I spoke about, where it was like a bunch of warlocks, and it was like 150 to 30 by the end of it. I was like,
yeah,
probably should have switched up the super somewhere in there, actually. But then a lot of them have been like, there's swings, right, in who's winning. That's been pretty common. So I'm going to play more of that this week, because that's still around, right? I haven't played since reset.
Yeah, Supremacy is a lot of fun. It's also pushed me into using an aspect or an ability that I never thought I would use.
Oh?
Which is the blink.
Really? You scumbag.
Well, because scumbags like you with your Thunder Crash, it makes avoiding shit like that, and then also avoiding the hunter's staff and stuff like that, really, like, to get out of a sticky sitch. It actually like comes in clutch.
Okay.
And it also comes in clutch too if you can see a couple of engrams, whatever they are, sigils. Medals? I don't know. You can see a couple of them, and you can blink over to them and then bail out, which helps as well.
Yeah, I will say that there's a little sound that plays when you pick up an enemy player's tag. That got pretty annoying.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that sound is used anywhere else, but I was like, is that someone's gun going off? And I just, it was like almost like something out of a Lorentz driver, where it sounded like a weird kind of laser sound, but it was very small, not super loud. But over the course of a few matches, I was like, I fucking hate that noise.
It's pretty jarring.
Yeah.
Yeah. What the fuck is that?
Well, yeah, initially I was like, is my phone going off or something? Like, I've never heard this sound. Is Discord done its thing where it's like, hey, it's Easter, we're going to make all the sounds sound like Easter or whatever the fuck. But no, it's just for some reason, a Supremacy specific sound.
Yeah.
As far as I know, I'm not, like I said, I don't know if that sound is from anywhere else, but yeah.
No, I can't recall it from anything else.
No, but yeah, got both of the, I did both of the platinum chests in the tower, which is basically just a case of play a bunch of strikes and play a bunch of Supremacy, and it honestly wasn't that hard. Yeah, did a bunch of bounties, and I think I'm on track to get the title and everything. I wasn't going to like try and do it all week one. I know some people have, but yeah, I think I've made a good amount of progress.
Yeah, I think I just have the PvP platinum chest left.
We should also do, as I open this over here on this monitor, a little the title check-in. Do you have that?
Oh yeah,
handy?
That's what I was just doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm gonna bring mine up. Where are you up to? Well, you're keeping that and the Terrazippos, right?
The horse disturber, yeah.
Horse disturber, yes.
So I'm even at 18 of each.
Holy shit. Okay.
Mind you, I have not been playing a lot, so.
I mean, neither. And I have 10 of the title. The other gun I'm not keeping because I'm only halfway in this bit. I kept one of the Terrazippo, Taraxipos, whatever. I kept one because it's got hatchling, and I think that's funny. I want to just like get some headshots and get little nerds running
little
around.
Freaks.
Yeah, little freaks. That's not little nerds, little freaks. So
you know
I'm
what?
gonna mess around with that a bit.
A lot of people didn't know why I called them little freaks, and then when they unlock Strand and actually experienced them, they're like, "Yeah, no, that's apt. They are freaky little things."
All you had to do was watch the trailer, and I was like, "Yeah, they 100% are little freaks. Look at them,
my little freaks,
little green freaks." Okay, that sounds about on par for what I expected, given how much I know you've been sick recently. I don't know that you're going to match your like 100 titles from last year.
I still got a week.
2. You got this week and next week.
I still got 2 weeks. I could do it. Yeah. I only got serious about collecting the title halfway through Last Guardian Games, if you remember correctly. So that's
true. Very quickly, we're doing this for another week in a row. Dog's barking. I'm gonna go give him a stern telling off. And then we're going to come back, talk some more about Guardian Games, Destiny, other stuff.
Okay. All
right. So Dog Disturber is me because I forgot to put his food in his bowl. He like smacked it across the room by the time I got out there. And he was just like banging on one of the doors like, hey, somebody feed me. So fair play. That's 0 to me, 1 to the dog. Guardian Games. What else? What else is going on with that? I really want to get that champ title. I'll tell you what.
I do really bad, which leads me to my next note, which is basically Meckii playing Nightfalls in this economy.
Yeah. I saw that come through in the notes. What's going on? You playing Nightfalls?
Trying to get shit done.
Okay. Is this for champ?
Playing Nightfalls with bloobs.
Oh,
it's been
man.
So
you're on that like lowest tier Nightfall because everything above that is not match made.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm on that spite fucking Nightfalls because the blueberries are making me angry.
Yeah.
And because it was arms dealer, I was just like charging ahead. I'm like, bye.
Oh yeah, because it was the Guardian Games playlist that was doing Hypernet Current, the new one.
I did that a few times as well.
Yeah, I think I did that about 4 times to like complete the week's thing for Guardian Games.
Real fucking sick of real quick. I was like, this is fun.
Dude, I tell you, I got through like I think 3 of them and I was at like 90% completion for whatever the weekly thing is. And I was like, I might as well do it now before I fucking do not want. It's like when you have a long day and you finally get home and sit down or lie down in bed and you're like, I'm not getting up again. Fuck off.
Yeah.
That was me with Hypernet Current after doing it 3 times in a row.
But it's because I haven't done it since I first had to do it.
Yeah, I think I've done it maybe once in a strike rotation.
The first time I was like, wee, this is fun. Yeah. Oh, Sparrow section.
Yeah.
And then by the second time, I'm like,
yeah. When you get knocked off the sparrow section by a blueberry for like the 4th time in a single run, and they just keep going, it's like, okay,
yeah.
I'm gonna now drag my feet because it's not worth trying to catch up.
And you're like, the first time you do it, you hit platinum. You're like, oh, this will be easy. This is great. And then you do them and you keep hitting bronze and you're like, I fucking hate everyone.
Yeah. So, hey, you need to kill champions for this to be efficient.
Please end me. Please. But through doing my nightfalls, I've actually gotten closer to leveling up in my guardian rank.
Okay.
Because I don't do nightfalls and I don't fight a lot of champions because of it. And just organically, I just started crossing those off in my guardian rank.
Yeah, I got a bunch of the champs done because I was like farming lost sectors for something. Or is it one about specifically champs and nightfalls? There was something that was popping because maybe it was seasonal challenge because I was just like, I'm going to pick up a lost sector platinum contender card and I'm just going to go and slam my head against it until it's done.
Yeah, because we ran a few last week.
Oh, I think I was like halfway through the card when we like teamed up to do something. I was like, let's just go run this a couple times.
Salty as fuck Gambit.
Oh yeah. Speaking of, I continued to play salty as fuck Gambit, and I have since re-gilded my dredgen for the 8th time. But because of that bug earlier in the season, it didn't actually register an event on the like API. So the like bot we've got in our server didn't announce it to the whole clan, which is kind of sad, but I've done it. Very, very happy about that. I did my 100 glaive kills and then I put that thing away because that is not efficient. I was just running around for like, I don't know, 4 matches in a row, just like doing the melee, just like that's all I'm doing until I need to do something else. But because I'm building around a like charged melee build, I have to switch off that weapon to be able to use it because it swaps out your melee slot.
Oh, yeah, true. I didn't think of that.
Yeah, so I can't throwing hammer while holding a big stick, which, when you think about it, makes a lot of sense. It's essentially a 2-handed weapon.
Yeah.
So that's done. That's done. Which is honestly a relief at this point, because I had to... I mean, no. I had to do what I was always supposed to do to earn it. The first time was just premature. The game was like, oops, I dropped this. Do you want it?
Oh.
Yeah. You scared me. Have a dredgen. So tune in next season for me getting dredgen for the 9th time.
Yeah.
Why am I like this? To be fair, I have gotten very good at just destroying a game of Gambit.
Yeah.
I like Gambit. What do you want?
I thrive on bullying invaders and being the bully invader, so...
Yeah, Xenophage. Do that.
Yeah.
And then when you run out of that, throw some hammers around. That's what I do.
Xenophage, and then if all else fails, sword.
Sword?
The fucking sword. Super. Fuck, I forgot its name. Dawnbreaker.
Yep. Daybreak?
Skybreaker.
Daybreak.
Sun Eater.
Sun butthole.
Sun Killer.
Whole sunning.
Eat the sun, do a little burp.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's called. Makes me wish I was good at Photoshop. I'd make that edit.
Naming metal songs with sun in it until I get it right.
Yeah.
Sun Eater. Sun Killer.
Close, yep. Star Killer. Wait, no, that's the character from Star Wars The Force Unleashed? No, Star Killer Base. I don't know.
Starscream. We just keep getting further away.
I have that Magic the Gathering card. Because they did the Transformers crossover. I just want to play with all my toys inside the one game.
Stupid.
It is stupid. I have a sound wave. That thing turns into a tape. It is both a tape deck and a cassette tape, and it's goofy.
Yeah.
Cool. So that's me being a dredgen. It's talking about Transformers. What are we doing here? What else is going on?
That big twab about Season of the Deep dropped.
Yep, I didn't read it.
I kind of did.
Okay, before you get into that, the fucking dog is going off again. So, BRB, this episode sucks. Let's get deep. Season of the Deep, that is. Before I had to run away and deal with the dog, I think I said I haven't read the thing.
Yes. First things first, the promotion image made me uncomfy.
Yeah, that's the one with Sloane, right? And the weird, like, taken arm situation.
The big eye.
Yeah. But the person standing in front of that with the back to the camera is Sloane, who used to be stationed on Titan, and one of her arms is now made of taken material.
Taken, yeah.
So that can't be good.
That's no good. So that makes me think that the big eye might be a worm god.
Possibly. I think
something like that.
I feel like
something of that magnitude, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, we spoke about it and I can't remember what it comes from, but there's some piece of lore or some voice line that references an enemy of the witness being on Titan. It doesn't, I don't think it specifically uses the word Leviathan. That might have been just people putting pieces together of like what is known to be sort of under the waters of Titan, or comparing it to Fundament, the Hive home planet. Yeah, really testing my lore knowledge there off the dome. So yeah, that kind of lines up, I think. And I think too, out of all of the things that were referenced during Lightfall, that one was probably the more intriguing one for me, because I feel like at some point the veil will be further explained. That just seems like they have to do that in the next year. This one was like this little bit on the side of like, hey, what if we go back to Titan or go back to talk to Sloane or like whatever's happening there.
And then the teased armor sets are interesting as well.
That's the one of like them sort of floating in the eye. They look all fishy.
Yeah, like deep sea, like anglerfish and stuff like that.
I want to see someone combine that with the raid armor out of Root of Nightmares, because it has kind of a similar vibe in some of the pieces.
That's what I was also thinking too. Like some of the pieces have that jagged, pointy, needle-like quality to it that you also see in like the disciple armor as well.
A bit.
Like,
yep.
But yeah, it's super uncomfy. I don't like the ocean, so that scares me.
You know what? Neither. Because we're not meant to be in it as a species, and yet people keep putting themselves in it and then finding themselves in trouble. And it's like, well, hey, that's where all the sharks live. I don't think we should be in there.
I just stop going to the bottom of the sea and finding the scary things, because now I know they're there.
Yeah.
And I don't need that knowledge in my brain.
Yeah, I wish I could turn that part of my brain off. I don't want to know about transparent fish.
Yeah, so many nightmares down there.
Mm-mm.
And now we've got a big eyeball to worry about too. Cool.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening there. If that actually is an eyeball, or if it's just some like weird like window in like, you know, like some submarines and stuff where like windows into the outside world and a lot of like science fiction.
Yeah, but there's an eyeball behind the Guardians.
Yeah, it does look that way, but I almost feel like it's a misdirect, because why are they inside it? What is happening there?
I think they're floating in between
the window and this giant eye.
The wall and the sweat.
Drips down my balls. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. Like this big scary thing is like swimming past behind them.
I mean, yeah, we're talking about potential Leviathans coming back into the story, so maybe that's what their eye looks like.
Megalodon
maybe they just
Titan.
have. What if they just have one eye?
Oh no, yucky. Oh, if it's a big like worm or a big lamprey type thing, I'm done. I'm uninstalling.
Yeah, it's a big one-eyed worm, if you know what I'm saying.
No, even worse. I'm uninstalling. I struggled enough with the giant worm in fucking Valve the Disciple. You saw how much I hate that thing.
Yeah.
And I hate the worms in Diablo. And I hate the worms. I hate the worms just in general from Destiny.
Yep. What about worm gods though?
Hate them.
Yeah. Remember doing Zol, Will of the Thousand?
Yep, hated it.
Yeah.
So if we got to work alongside one of those things, no, thanks. The witness can have the universe. I'm good. The traveler, have it. I'm fine.
Yeah. You can play basketball with that thing. I don't care.
If you're telling me I have to get in the deep sea on Titan with a big worm, I'm good.
You have to pilot the worm like a mecha.
I'm so good. I will.
You're gonna sit in its brain and just like pull on its brain tendons or whatever, just like joysticks, like ready to go.
Oh, like a fucking cordyceps?
Yeah.
Fungus?
Yeah.
No, because now I'm thinking of Stephen King's Dreamcatcher.
Or no, what I'm thinking actually,
spiraling.
Have you ever been inside the cabin of like a digger or any like earth moving equipment?
Yes.
So it's like you don't have like buttons and shit. You have a series of levers. It's
about
just
the worm
that.
control.
You just plug a PlayStation controller into it.
I don't want to be in the ocean. I don't want to be in the ocean with the worms. I will just lay in the tower and just say, "You win, witness."
I will emote in the tower until I am booted to orbit for being inactive.
Forever. What happened to Meckii? Last online 9 years ago. Well, Season of the Deep came out.
Yeah.
And she spiraled.
Yeah, she took herself out of the game before it even dropped. She didn't even like go and check it out. It was like, no, just the potential of worm. No.
Opening cutscene, we see a silhouette or something swim past, and the stream is just me like, nope. Leaves.
Alt F4.
Walks out.
Boots up Stardew Valley instead.
Walks out. Nope.
Just go stand in a field. You know there's worms in fields.
No.
They're under the ground though. It's fine.
Just that image is making me uncomfy as someone who has like probably thalassophobia, to be honest with you.
Okay.
And then it also plays into like, to a degree, like submechophobia, and it's just potentially a big worm.
Yeah.
It's a big whale. I'll be okay with that. Not happy about it, but okay with it.
You know what game?
Are we about to get Moby Dicked? That's a bad sentence.
Yo.
The sentence came out of my face.
Moby Dick me down, daddy.
Oh no. Help.
Yeah, like, so as someone who like has played a lot of games like No Man's Sky, Factorio, things like that, the game I could never actually get myself past the hurdle of booting was Subnautica, because the idea of like, yeah, survival crafting, that's all great. I'm underwater though. The idea of like having to try and survive underwater and build things, no thank you.
Yo, homie, I'm in the ocean and there are things in it with me. No, thank you.
No, I want to be in a bath, and that is it.
Well, it's like when you guys came to Queensland and I went knee deep and something touched me and I was like, I'm leaving.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to go sit on the beer and drink. What?
Sit on the beer and drink the sand?
On the beach. Yep. Woo!
Just
I go drink seawater
just
until I die.
Sand in your mouth. Grit.
Just chugging seawater. Yeah, I was like, no, I've had enough of the ocean today.
Yeah. Enough for like a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's such a weird image. And every time I scroll through the twab, I'm like,
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
People have it as their wallpaper. Freaks.
Yeah, I haven't downloaded that one. But I will say, on the topic of wallpapers, something I had to figure out because I've got 2 vertical monitors now. Most of the images that they put in twabs and stuff, you can get like a 4K download, but they're landscape and they don't, like, you can put them into a vertical monitor, but Windows does weird things with them and it just like zooms it the fuck in.
You have someone's face, so every time you look over, you're like,
Well, I have the real nice one of the like traveler above Earth, and they did like a proper render of it and put that out as a wallpaper. But if you put that on a vertical monitor, it basically just zooms into just the bit where the traveler is, and then like vertical above it. It's so bad. But the website, I think it's like Destiny 2 emblem wallpapers, something like that.
And it's like a whole Google Drive of like.
No, it's just a website, and you can like go and look it up and download all these different like orientations of it. But
I got mine in the days of having.
Are really good for vertical monitors because like they've got all these sick graphics around the emblems and It's very cool.
That got turned into a website because in the days of when I used to have Destiny wallpapers on my phone and my Apple Watch and then also my PC, you had to go to a Reddit thread where the dude who made them all put them in a Google Drive, and then you had to log into the Google Drive and download them all. Yeah. That's how I got all of mine.
Yeah, so the website's real good. So I went and like picked emblems. I think the one on this monitor on the right is just like the standard like 7th column image, but it's the like kind of glitched out one. I can't remember what the emblem is.
Oh, mine is still Festival of the Lost stuff. It's always Festival of the Lost emblems.
But it's good. It's good. It means I can actually have a wallpaper that I can see, which is nice.
You don't want a scary zoom in of the ocean eye.
I really don't, and I feel like you know that by now.
I love the ocean.
Yes.
Ocean man. So scary eyeball aside.
Yep.
There's a couple of interesting things. Didn't read through just trying to find the term. I'm trying to remember what the term was so I can get there. Didn't read through all the statistical numbers shit.
Oh, like the abilities update they put out.
How my brain works.
Yeah.
So a couple of things. New strand aspects.
Yes.
Which sounds super fun.
Yeah. It's like one per class or something, right?
Yeah, so hunters are getting something called Threaded Spectre, which sounds like a lot of fun. Which is when you activate your class ability, you leave behind a decoy and the enemies shoot at the decoy. Yes. So that's fun. And it's when they activate their dodge.
I'm going to have to go deal with this dog again.
Doggo.
Fucking Jesus. I tell you what, this episode is going to be a nightmare to edit with the amount of fucking cuts I'm going to have to do for me going to deal with this dog. Shit.
Technical difficulties music.
Yeah, I got to find a little stinger or something. Usually I just like fade it to black, but doing that once an episode's fine. What are we up to now? It's like 3, 4? No. Hunter, green stuff.
Yeah. They described it as a bunch of threadlings in a trench coat.
That's quite good.
It's cute.
I can get around that.
So basically when the hunters activate their dodge, it leaves the decoy behind.
Yeah.
And NPCs will direct fire at that. Okay. You can use it to obviously take time to heal or as a player or just get out of dodge. Dodge out of dodge. Yeah. Second one is the Titan aspect, which is called Fletchet Storm. Fletchet?
I think, Fletchet or Flechette. I'm not sure. It's like a military term for a type of
Flechet away.
It's like a type of weapon or munition or something. It is an existing term.
Steel rods with a sharp point at one end and fins at the other. It's like a Nerf ball. Remember the Nerf ball?
Yeah.
From the 90s?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. So while sliding, activate your charged melee ability to leap into the air, knocking enemy targets away and dealing damage. While airborne, activate your charged melee again to launch a cluster of damaging, unraveling projectiles. Repeatedly activating the melee will chain additional blows.
Okay, I love chaining additional blows.
Leans heavily into the Berserker Titan and just like the aggression that's in the melee for the Berserker Titans at the moment.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, because I think one of the notes I remember from the abilities update that's coming with the next season is around them making those kind of roaming supers a bit more appealing to use, as opposed to just like Well of Radiance, Bubble, Thunder Crash, etc. I could be completely wrong because I hardly remember a lot of what was in that post.
And then the Warlock has the Wanderer. All I can think of is that song whenever I read this now. Wanderer. Tangles you throw attached to enemies and detonate into suspending.
We'll come back in on
the Wanderer. The Wanderer. Goes around and around.
All right, tell me about this Wanderer then.
You know.
No, I don't. I didn't.
Stuff. My brain just stopped functioning.
I looked at the post for like 2 minutes. I was like, this is next season shit. I'm reading it later.
The words were right in front of me and my brain just like restarted. Boom, 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 boom. Tangles you throw attached to enemies and detonate into a suspending burst. Threadling final blows also create a tangle.
Interesting.
So they described warlocks as strand minion masters.
Yeah, so more little freaks. Great.
I prefer the term freak daddy, but okay, go off, I guess, Bungie. So it's a sentient tangle woven from the brood. It's sentient. Ooh. When warlocks equipped with this aspect pick up a tangle, they weave the tangle into the Wanderer.
Mm-hmm.
When thrown, the Wanderer travels through the air seeking out targets. Once it finds a target, it soars towards them, latches on, and explodes into a suspending detonation that deals damage and suspends nearby enemies. To round out the loop, the Wanderer also enables threadling final blows from any source to create a tangle. Yeah, I hope that clarifies it, because the description isn't as clear as the Titan or Hunters.
I need to see this thing working, but I do find it very funny that we've got both the Traveler and the Wanderer.
We go around. And then also Stasis Strand and the Light subclasses are going to get their glow-ups as well, which I believe they went into more detail about that
whole,
in the ability blog
post. And it's a lot of like just tweaking values. It's not introducing new shit necessarily.
Yeah, it's a lot of numbers.
It is a lot of numbers. That is correct.
Which we don't do numbers.
No, I'll read them, and if there's interesting things that stick out, I'll try and, I don't know, make note or remember them. But often I'm just like, I forget.
Yeah,
it's also not that interesting to talk about.
But also, we're the kind of players that it's like numbers on our screen mean nothing to us. It's how it feels once it's implemented.
Unless it's some giant difference that on paper you're like, that's crazy. But they don't do that so much anymore. Or if they do, there's usually a good reason for it.
Yeah, and then focusing and decryption is coming to Rahul at the start of Season of the Deep. A lot of exotic focusing, Red War helms.
Yeah, the exotic focusing is actually kind of interesting, because up until now it's just been through Spoils of Conquest, and those are hard to get.
It's just something else to talk to Rahul about, and I don't want to.
So anytime you go talk to Rahul, you have to blast like Stray from the Path through your headphones.
Rahul's a cop.
Yeah, Rahul is a cop. Have you heard him?
He's a snitch.
No,
Rahul talks like a Redditor. We've discussed this previously.
If he's anything, he's like, you know how police precincts will usually have like some sort of community outreach person, and they're like not a cop, but they basically are
police officer.
Yeah, they basically are a cop. That's Rahul. He's like, hey, the cops aren't bad. Here's what we can do to help them help you. It's like, hey, fuck off.
Cops are people too, with hobbies.
They're cops in the sense that I wouldn't want to actively murder them myself. I don't think it should exist as a job.
I just don't want to talk to Rahul.
Yeah, okay.
Sounds like a Redditor.
Yeah. Yeah. You put a trilby on that man and nothing would change.
They've somehow managed to personify well, actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't ask for your opinion, but you're going to give it to me anyway. That's the energy Rahul gives me. I don't like him.
Yeah. And then Cade 6 was the other side of that coin with the shitty edgelord, like the kind of person that probably has swords on their walls at home.
Yeah.
That kind.
Crow's going to gatekeep you out of any metal
Crow
genre.
too. Yeah. Basically hunters. They suck.
Crow's got katanas. We both know.
No, Crow's got like obscure martial art weapons. Not because he's trained in how to use them. He's like got kunai on the wall and nunchucks and shit. Although he'd be like, no, it's nunchaku. It's like, fuck off. Who cares? You know what I mean?
He can be your angle or your double.
The Paragod and anime on my side.
But yeah, so the focusing stuff is fun. I just don't want to talk to Rahul for more shit, and they keep giving us more shit to talk to him about. And I'm like, please stop.
Yeah, well, I mean, they killed Amanda, so there's no one else to do it.
I don't know. You chuck a personality in one of those robots. Let me talk to them instead.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be all right.
That then leads us into the exotic armor tuning stuff, which is also super interesting.
Yeah, this one is it's not like all exotics. It's maybe like half a dozen for each class, getting a bit of a, in some cases just like tweaking some numbers, and in a couple of cases like full on reworks of how they actually function.
I just saw Mask of Bacchus for the first time in my fucking life. Don't like that.
Oh no, that's not that picture under that section. That's not Mask of Bacchus.
What the fuck is that?
That is Eternal Warrior. That is a Titan
Make it go
helmet.
away. I've never seen it before.
The fucking like stone helmet.
The weird man.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
So I'm like right on the fence with Eternal Warrior in that it now reads like it would be very fun for an arc build, but I don't want to look like that.
I don't want you to look like that.
Although you should look up Mask of Bacchus because it is equally terrifying in a very different direction.
Meckii, do you want to run some Lost Sectors? Do you have the mask on? Yes? No?
Mask of Bacchus, I think, in the lore is basically...
Sorry, babe. The Mask of Bacchus stays on.
Mask of Bacchus is like the skin of an Elixni or something just pulled across a helmet.
Yeah, it's got Scarecrow from Batman vibes, kind of.
Disgusting, yeah.
Yucky.
Yeah. But I think the things that kind of stood out for me, people got real fucking salty about Stompies, because me for one, like removed airborne effectiveness penalties. Like, okay, cool, guns are more effective in the air. That's kind of Stompy's whole point.
Increased speed, slide distance, and improving jumping while dodge enemy energy is full.
So that's the big change that everyone's mad about, right? Because up until now, it's been you get that benefit across the board no matter what. And that is the reason hunters are a problem in PvP, is because you're trying to shoot them and then immediately they are launching into the air and you're like trying to track them around the map and it's crazy.
True.
So this is like limiting that somewhat, because it is basically like if you're playing a hunter in PvP, people will yell at you if you're not using Stompies, and that's just shit. That's not good for like encouraging people into different play styles. It's not good for like diversity of play when it comes to PvP. It's just not interesting.
Neither of us are hunters, so we can't really speak much to the changes.
I've got a hunter, I've played it, I've used Stompies. The thing that I always laugh at is if you're doing like jumping puzzles or you're doing like PvE platforming to try and find a secret or a hidden chest or something, people that cannot do it without Stompies, it's like, hey, they have to design this game so that all three classes with all three jump types can hit these and get there. You shouldn't need this to make this work. It's a crutch. Stompies are a crutch.
Yeah. Was there anything in the Titan exotic changes that kind of stood out to you from memory? Or
like I said, Eternal Warrior, like I might actually go and see if there's like ornaments for it that can make it look not shit. Or if I can do a like transmog that makes it kind of all work together. But it does actually sound pretty good. It's basically like Path of Burning Steps, but for arc, in that you get a stacking damage bonus and it makes running around punching things as arc pretty effective. Basically what it used to do, it's just now better. Path of Burning Steps got a bit of a change, but it doesn't seem like much on what I'm reading. June Marches is maybe the big one because it's kind of reducing. Like June Marches is the one where if you do a melee after you've been sprinting, it like chain lightning essentially happens. They've basically just reduced the sort of spread of that. Like the distance of the chaining is decreased, and like June Marches is essentially the Titan Stompies. Like if you're running PvP, chances are you're running June Marches because it makes you run faster, and then even an uncharged melee will trigger that.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that's kind of neat that they're just taking the edges off that a bit. For Warlock though, the one that kind of like jumped out at me was Chromatic Fire, of all things. if you get a precision kinetic kill, you create a, elemental explosion. But what they're doing now is applying status effects with those. So you've got blind for arc, scorch for solar, slow for stasis, sever for strand, and weaken for void. A lot of those will stun certain champions. So I'm picturing you're in like a bit of a fight. There's a champion and like a couple of dregs or something. You hit a precision kill, pop an explosion, stun a champ potentially. And that's kind of interesting in terms of you would have to play kind of up close as a warlock, but still hit a kinetic headshot. And yeah, you do some stuff there. That's kind of fun.
Yeah. Sanguine Alchemy is going to tweet too, which is interesting. That's something I've not seen in a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
Standing in a rift grants non-stacking bonus to weapon damage matching your class damage type. So, for example, if I'm playing Void and I have my Gnawing Hunger out, this damage bonus is the equivalent of 2 Surge leg mods. So 17% in PvE and 4.5% in PvP, which I thought was interesting.
That's a decent little damage boost for PvE.
Yeah.
Not bad. Starfire Protocol is getting a huge kind of whack on the head though.
Yeah.
We're looking at
dropping it
the fact that it's
20% to 2.5.
Yeah, 20 to 2.5 is crazy. But
20% grenade energy.
Which one is what does Starfire Protocol do again? Because I know a lot of people run it. Because it just says reduce the amount of energy gained per instance of damage from 20% to 2.5%. So I'm guessing it's like ability energy gets regened.
Fusion grenades have an additional charge and recharge from an empowered weapon damage. Fusion grenade kills grant rift energy. Or Starfire Protocol. Oh, mine's
right.
So chops. My Starfire is 70.
Yeah. 75. So if they're chopping down the amount of energy you gain, they're just like extending the cooldown essentially.
The recharge,
on those abilities.
basically.
There's a whole bunch of dev commentary there of them like basically saying this has been strong for a while and they're bringing it in line with some other stuff.
Basically, you can use Starfire to create almost like an endless grenade loop with your fusion
I just
grenades.
read that. That's
okay. It's kind of unhinged. Starfire comes up a lot in Void builds, like firework builds, for example.
Yeah. Devour. Get Devour in there. Okay.
I prefer to use I've tried. I'm not a huge Starfire fan, so it's fine because it doesn't suit the way that I personally play.
Sure.
I find myself quite often swapping out a few aspects and Starfire for controversies. And then that works. I've got a pretty good Void build now to how I play. But you will online find a lot of the OP godlike Void Warlock build, and usually it relies on Starfire. It's the crux of the entire build. And I definitely go into builds where I'm like, well, if I take this one exotic out, what is it without the exotic?
Yeah.
So I try and pivot a build that if I do want to change from Controverse holds to maybe the Stag, depending on the encounter, or a different Void-based exotic. Yeah. How is that going to affect my build? A lot of these builds, if you take Starfire out, it's a useless build.
I mean, yeah, but that is kind of the point of the current build crafting system that they've
but I like the flexibility.
Right? Yeah, but at the same time, you've got loadout slots. You could just create a bunch of builds, and
that's what I mean. Like,
I think that's kind of where they want to head, right? Is having this power fantasy of like your entire build is built around this like value engine essentially. And for Starfire builds, it's like, let's get abilities back up quickly. Let's make all these explosions big. And I think having a build where if you take the exotic out is not necessarily a shortcoming. It means that if you want to put a different exotic in, you might have to tweak some mods and move some things around. But like that to me, I think also speaks to the strength of the build crafting system that we have now.
Yeah, true.
Is that you can min-max all the way in that direction and set the world on fire.
Starfire is just, it's gonna be. I'm really interested in how the nature of Void builds are going to change.
And yeah, that's what's interesting to me about this, right? Like if you are saying for example, if there's a whole category of videos on YouTube about soloing dungeons as a warlock, and 90% of them say use Starfire or fuck off, that's a
Pretty
problem.
much, yeah.
That's a problem, right? Like, and I think that's what this is kind of getting at, is like, we want to see a bit more diversity. We want to make some of these other ones more viable by boosting numbers and maybe bringing down the one that is everywhere.
Yeah, a lot of these, when I actively go to see what other people are doing with Void Warlocks or, specific types of Warlocks, 99% of the time, this Void God Warlock, it's Starfire.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay.
Yeah, and that's where, like, it can get really interesting because you have to also account for the variability of, like, stat rolls and individual armor pieces. Like, if you end up with 2 out of your 6 stats at 100 or more, maybe even 3, right? You've had to put in some work to get some really high stat armor. You've got mods in the right spots. You've got, like, really high stat rolls in one mod or one stat across a couple of pieces, right? And aspects will add to that as well. And that shows that you've put in a lot of work. Whereas, if you're just saying, put on Starfire, turn your brain off, that's not that interesting anymore.
It's pretty much, yeah. A lot of the builds are like that. So it'll be interesting to see how the nature of Void builds swing.
Yeah.
The other one I'm kind of interested in is Prometheum Spur.
Mm-hmm.
I hate using them because I hate the fucking toes on it. But
which one's Prometheum Spur?
The little feet.
I mean, a lot of them have little feet.
It's like the whole ass fucking dogs out for free. Boots.
Right.
Yeah. I hate them.
Yeah.
Hate fucking looking at them.
Yeah.
Hate it when the foot glitch happens.
Bigfoot. Yeah.
Bigfoot. The notes are grant rifted energy for any solar weapon takedown, with more energy granted for solar weapon takedowns while standing in a rift.
Okay.
Also, you now have to be standing in a rift when you get final blow for the exotic to consume your class ability energy and create a rift at the target's location.
Oh, so you're basically just like hopping from rift to rift as you kill things. Okay.
As someone who loves solar and also likes to play a healing warlock when they're in solar, I am definitely gonna
I don't know if
have a look.
That doesn't sound like it's built for that, though.
We'll see. Because how is it going to work with certain aspects, which is what I want to play with.
It just, that reading doesn't sound like it would fit with a healing-based build.
It's one of those things where I'm like, I'm definitely going to plug it in to a couple of healing builds I have and just out of curiosity see how that feels. Because while it reads a little bit funny, sometimes the way I play and how reckless I can be sometimes. Sometimes these like descriptions sound like they won't work, and then when I actually get into the meat and veg of it, I'm like, actually this works for me because I am a little bit of a nutcase.
Yeah, but it's specifically solar weapon takedowns, that's the thing.
Yeah, so Xeno?
Oh, no, I'd be going for like Sunshot, Taraba, something like that.
But you know what I mean?
Right?
Like, Xeno, I've got a few solar pulse rifles I like to use. Like,
yeah.
Solar scouts I like to use.
I'm thinking specifically of things like Sunshot because you'll get the explosion damage and it will spread. And does that mean you're creating a bunch of rifts? Like,
which is what I want to play with is like, how far does that go? And is it the kind of situation where I can be further back in a rift I've just popped because I need the healing and I've noticed a homie is in a group of enemies? Can I pop an enemy with a solar weapon to protect my homie?
Yeah.
Like to drop a rift at my homie?
Yeah.
That's the healing aspect that I'm thinking of when I read that, where I'm like, can this facilitate, let's say I've got a nice scout rifle or Sunshot, for example, and I see one of you guys surrounded by enemies getting your shit pushed in or just getting hit. And it's like, can I pop an enemy at your feet and drop a rift close enough for you to be able to get that reprieve for a little bit?
Yeah.
That's what I'm interested in.
I will say from memory, if I'm being surrounded by enemies, a healing rift does not save me most of the time. It's usually not enough healing.
Fire. But it's just an example. It's like, how can I use that for homies? Or even is it necessarily a healing rift? It just says rift.
Yeah.
Maybe I can drop an empowering rift on a homie.
I think for what the situation you're describing using it in, healing rift is the better choice.
Yeah.
Chances are what that person needs is healing.
What's the flexibility there? Can I throw an empowering rift at a mate? Like, can I throw a healing rift at a mate just by popping an enemy?
Yeah. How much have you used Lumina, the hand cannon?
I'm not a hand cannon person, so I struggle with it.
Because I feel like,
but it's one of those weapons I've got in a couple of my solar healing builds. It's one of those weapons that I have.
It's literally healing
because it's what it do.
Yeah,
what it do. But I'm not great with hand cannons. Well, the only real hand cannon is Thorn.
Yeah, the thing with Lumina though, all you have to do is get kills with it to stack it up. But the healing rounds track. Yeah. So you have to be like aiming kind of close, and it will work its way to your ally.
But it's in one of my builds. One of my solar builds leans really heavily into, I guess, like long distance. So being able to convert my grenade into shields and...
The curse thought I just had for this Prometheum Spur.
Defeats.
Prometheus lens. Solar trace rifle. Just like, just zap a whole bunch of shit.
Prometheum zone.
Because they have a decent range on them too.
That's true. Actually, when I was trying to find the shoe to describe what it actually does, because at the moment, defeating combatants or guardians while Daybreak is active creates a healing and empowering rift at their location. While standing in any rift, solar weapon final blows grant rift energy. When your rift energy is full, final blows consume your rift energy and create a healing and empowering rift at a target's location. So I might play with it a little bit before they tweak it, just to get an idea of what's actually happening. And then after they tweak, cry, because I've realized at the last minute I prefer the old one. Yeah,
well, then you go do something else. That's the way. There's so many options.
But yeah, Prometheus lens did come up when I was looking at the feats, and I was like,
Yeah.
Promi time.
I think that would be a good combo.
Promo time. Me realizing I've also got full prime engrams. Oops.
Oh, so you meant like Twitch Prime.
So yeah, some of those changes are interesting, but it's once again, it's one of those things that when I get my hands on it, don't care about Ophidian aspect, but that might change with the changes.
There's maybe like 2 or 3 of these that I've used regularly enough that I'm going to want to go and test the difference. But most of these, it's like, I don't know. I can't guess the difference or how it will feel based on reading this.
The Claws of Ahamkara changes could be interesting for, yo, do you need me to shit out orbs? Here I come. Because it's powered melee kills create an orb of power. When heavy-handed mods are equipped, it increases the potency of the orb spawned.
Oh, you just get 1 orb, but it just gives you more energy.
Yeah, but like, you need me to shit out orbs, and I like to punch.
Yeah, how much... I mean, it would be getting into like aspects and fragments, but if there's a way to like really quickly get a charged melee back after you use it, that'd be the way to do it.
There's ways to do it with solar. I know that much.
Yeah.
I'm pretty much, in my current build, I'm pretty much locked into a melee grenade loop.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I do with, I mean, obviously the throwing hammer, like go and pick it up, charge melee is back, but also running, what is it, Heart of Inmost Light, which is just a Titan chest, use 1 ability, the other 2 charge faster. And so you can just like get on a cycle with all 3 and that they charge. And that's my main arc build is with that. Because I just like get arced up, punch something, grenade. I don't know. I use the dodge, the new Titan arc dodge, and then just like do that on a loop, and it's so effective.
That's essentially my solar build. And then I changed off healing rifts into empowered rifts, and it's just made the recharge rate nutty on like my melee.
Yes, good.
Solar kills, your melee comes back, your melee feeds your grenade feeds all 3. Like, yeah.
Yeah. It's a good time.
It's pretty good. But it's one of those things where nothing that I use religiously is being tweaked, so I'm not too worried. But it's also put a couple of things on my radar that I definitely want to play with.
Yeah.
Sanguine Alchemy and the Prometheus Fedes are some of them. I've grown out of my Mantle of Battle Harmony phase because as fun as that exotic was, it was like if I had to pick one of the two, I would prefer to use Boots of the Assembler on my healing or support builds.
Yeah.
So Battle Harmony's fun as an exotic, but
it's also getting less.
Grew out of it with
it's
all
also
the new
getting
changes.
less fun. That damage bonus is getting squashed a bit, which I think maybe not as much, but similar to Starfire. A bunch of people are going to be like, "Oh, I guess I'll do something else then."
Yeah, I grew out of my Battle Harmony phase.
Yes.
I had it for 2 weeks, was obsessed, and then I was like, oh, I've got Boots of the Assembler now. Bye.
See you later.
I can throw orbs at my friends.
But yeah, all this and more coming to you next season.
Yeah.
A lot we can do in the meantime. It's not like, hey, this is going to drop mid-season, we'll see how it goes. It's like season 21, whole bunch of changes. Also, season 21, they're not, it's like, I think maybe the first season where there's no power increase.
Yeah, actually, yeah. What?
Yeah.
Huh.
So that's kind of neat. So if you're at Pinnacle or close to it, you will stay there. And as someone who is like one armor piece away from being capped out, that's real nice because it's such a pain to grind for that.
Yeah.
I don't think they've spoken about anything after that in terms of power level increases, but I am increasingly starting to appreciate the theory that they are working towards removing it from the game. This to me feels like an experiment of, hey, we've got all these selectable difficulty options for basically every activity in the game. What actually changes if we remove this 3 months, you've got to grind 10 power loop? Like, is that really valuable anymore as a player activity? Not really, I think.
Very true. It is not a fun aspect of the grind.
Yeah. And I think, granted, I don't play other MMOs, but my understanding is they don't do that. Yeah. Right? It's like there'll be a new expansion, there's new gear, there's new content, whatever. Maybe they add something to the level cap, but like doing it just on a loop every 3 months is pretty exhausting when there's already so much to do in the game. Putting this other thing in front of players, because you've already got the artifact power, which increases every season anyway. So like, how worthwhile is adding 10 to that number?
Yeah, that's.
But then an expansion comes around and it's a fucking, here's a new floor and it's a 200 something power grind, right?
Yeah, I feel like
it happens quickly, especially with the legendary campaign. But that also further supports the theory that it's irrelevant because you can just do the legendary campaign provided you're able, and basically trivialize that grind entirely.
I think part of the mentality is probably the people who want to grind will still grind regardless of whether that cap is there or not. Like the power push is there.
They want to get their season rank to 300 for some godforsaken reason.
They want to be able to comfortably run Grandmasters.
Sure.
Like the people who want to be at cap will be at cap regardless.
But the flip side of that is if they were to remove the number and they say, here is a Grandmaster level, it feels like this because we apply contest mode to it and whatever else. Does it matter, right?
True. I think they'll find a way to keep the grinding appeal there for the people who want it.
Yeah.
But for the people who cannot or don't want to grind, they're definitely removing the kneecapping.
I mean, also think about when we were doing the campaign, right? You've got a new expansion, you've got your like 250 or whatever it is away from the power cap, and you get like 2 missions into the campaign and you are suddenly not at level to just go and do the next story mission, so you have to go do a bunch of patrols, and like that's fine for onboarding new players, but when you've been playing this game for 10 years, having to do that every fucking time,
it's just not fun, is it?
Yeah, like But if you remove power level as a thing that you need to grind, find some other way to incentivize that loop, then that becomes a more enjoyable experience, right? And that sort of shit, the fact that that is still in there, is like a known reason that lapsed players bounce off it again. It's because they come back and go, "Oh, we're still doing this? Like, you've had this long to reconsider doing this?" But it is also a very hard thing to change in a game that's had it for this long. So,
which is probably why we're going to see this slow trickle phasing out, or them being like,
if we do, right? Like, I know people personally that are convinced it's going to happen soon, and I'm like, based on what? Based on what? The only thing they've ever confirmed is that next season they're not pushing it out by 10. They have never committed to removing power level
entirely. They've never made that promise or even put that on the visible roadmap anyway.
No. And even if it's been in some leak or quote unquote leak, can you really trust that? Like, is everything from a leak ever come true? I don't think so.
Yeah. Also, things change.
Yeah.
You might crack that data, and within the 6 months between that data being cracked and the expansion coming out, shit happens.
Yeah.
You have to scrap entire ideas or put them on the back burner or change. Like, yeah. It'll be interesting, though. Yeah.
All I know is if I can hit Pinnacle Cap before the end of this season, I can just cruise through the next season already there. And that's kind of a relief, actually. Just not having to worry about that. Because I also know there's a bunch of other games coming out in the next, 3 to 6 months, and I want to not have to worry about that. Just one less thing on the pile.
The next 2 days in some cases.
Well, yeah.
Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, I gotta Lord of the Rings. I gotta
Lord of the Rings.
I gotta figure that game. I gotta figure out getting that game because I played the first one, and I will play this. But yes,
I got a little bit too addicted to the first one, so I might wait for this one to go on sale.
I don't think it ever will. I don't know if Breath of the Wild ever did because it's Nintendo first party.
That's true. The first one became a problem for me.
To be fair, very good video game.
Yeah. And then Animal Crossing came out and that became a problem.
Yeah, but none of us were allowed to go outside at the time.
True.
So you don't need to touch grass because the government says you're not allowed.
Big true.
And speaking of government mandated entertainment, thank you as ever for watching or listening to this episode of Erico Blueberry. We'll be back next time with more of whatever this is or was or will be. We've got more Guardian games. We've got one more week after this week, and then we'll see who wins. I don't know what they're going to do with that statue, with the trophy, but I'm hoping it's just a big shield. Because it will be Titans.
Wouldn't it be the lion?
Yeah, but they already did that. It's currently the lion with other stuff on it based on who won it last. But what if it was just a shield smashed into the side of it?
Like a UFO?
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking.
I just realized you called this government mandated like this is some sort of community service.
I like to think of it that way. Government says you have to watch Erico Blueberry every day.
For my crimes against playing Destiny 2 like an adult.
For my crimes against God and nature. I will watch this episode. But until next time, play a video game or two. And tell your friend about this.
Play a video game.
Yeah.
Say hi to your mum for me. It's Rove McManus.
Yeah. Fuck, I haven't heard that in a long time. I'm going to sink into the memory hole now. Goodbye.
Goodbye. It's time for existential dread. Yeah! Say hi to your mum for me. It's Rove Live.